And before we get to the major news that happens with the Seahawks, there was a few other things that happened in the week leading up to it. 3 Seahawks were added to the Pro Bowl this year, which was essentially just flag football, which, take it as you will, it's a little bit disappointing considering where the Pro Bowl used to be and what it used to be. DK Metcalf, Nick Bellore, and Geno Smith were all added to the Pro Bowl on top of the 3 names that were already there in terms of Bobby Wagner, Devon Witherspoon, and Julian Love. So 6 Seahawks in total were part of the Pro Bowl. It's nice for those guys to get, have that on their resume and, to be a part of that. But otherwise, it's kind of departed from where the Pro Bowl has been in the past. And this sort of what prestige that it had is now removed. From there, we go to the major news of the week for the Seahawks. The search is over. The Seahawks have their new man. It is Mike MacDonald as their new head coach. The Seahawks go from the oldest head coach in the NFL, from Pete Carroll at 72 years old, to the youngest in Mike MacDonald at 36 years old. MacDonald spent the past 2 seasons as the defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens, having been with the Baltimore organization since the year of 2014. And was Michigan's defensive coordinator in 2021. Former players of MacDonald with the Ravens have had nothing but good things to say about him, calling him a wizard. There's a lot of talk about his defensive schemes, whether it's, Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen. So there have been a lot of good things said about MacDonald, not only from his former team, but also from around the NFL as a whole. With different coaches having positive things to say about him. The Ravens wanted to keep MacDonald as their defensive coordinator, but the report is that he wanted the Seattle job badly, and it didn't seem like they were going to be able to stop it from happening. The Seahawks were going to look at Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator, as well, but Johnson pulled all of his head coaching eligibility, essentially, and decided to stay with the Lions, doing so much so that he pulled out of that while the Washington Commanders were in the air on a plane going to meet with him in person, which did not make them very happy. The Commanders did have an offer on the table for MacDonald, but Seattle reportedly had more money involved with their offer. It's a 6-year deal for MacDonald, obviously keeping him through his age 42 season. So that's big news. It's big news. And so, with the head coaching hire, there's news about filling out the rest of the staff. And that happened the next day. That was on February 1st, the team hired MacDonald. The next day, they added Leslie Frazier as their assistant head coach. Leslie Frazier, obviously a legendary head coach, continuing to do his thing. He started coaching way back in 1988, that is well before I was born, at Trinity International University, and began in the NFL in 1999. He was the Bills' defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2019, remaining on the Bills staff from 2020 to 2022 as an assistant head coach and a defensive coordinator, a defensive assistant, with the Bills, and has been a mentor for MacDonald in the past, and now he will join his staff and help that Seahawks tenure start off well. So it's big news. We finally have an answer. I guess I picked well for our thumbnail for last week's segment for the Seahawks. If you go back and look at that, it was Mike MacDonald, so I guess I picked well. But this is exciting. I mean, you look at the Seahawks, their defense has struggled for years, since those real last few years of the Legion of Boom and its existence. There's been talent on these defenses. It just hasn't necessarily been put in the right places to succeed, whether it was switching to a 3-4 defense, and a new formation change, different schemes, different coordinators throughout the course of the years. Clint Hurt being the most recent one. He has gone to Philadelphia to be their defensive line coach. Talking about the coordinator, Shane Waldron's in Chicago with the Bears. So obviously John Schneider, general manager, and Mike MacDonald have offensive and defensive coordinator positions to fill. MacDonald did say that he does plan to continue to call the plays on defense, which, considering how things have gone for the Ravens, is not a bad thing. But those are 2 important hires to make. The head coach is only one step of it. But this is, it's exciting, right? It's a new era for the Seahawks. So long it was Pete Carroll, and it's kind of weird to not have Pete Carroll as the head coach coach of this team, it'll be weird when we get to the first game and he's not on the sideline. But if you wanted to move forward, considering the roster that you have, an exciting young roster, looking at just on the defensive side of the ball with Devon Witherspoon, Boye Mafe had a good season. Julian Love made the Pro Bowl. Reek Woolen, just completed his second year in the league. So there's a lot of exciting pieces for this team, and you don't want to waste it, by kind of staying in the same routine, staying stagnant. You want to move forward. You want to progress forward and maximize that Super Bowl window. The Seahawks are looking to do that with Mike MacDonald. There were reports that came out this morning that the team is bringing in Jay Harbaugh, son of Jim Harbaugh. I apologize. I always get the Harbaughs messed up. Jay Harbaugh was going to join his dad in LA with the Chargers, but it seems like that's changed, and he's coming to Seattle to become their special teams coordinator. So there's one coordinator position filled out. Obviously need to fill the defensive and offensive positions as well, but there's one new move. So it'll be interesting with the news as well today that the University of Washington football team is hiring Bill Belichick's son to be their defensive coordinator. There's going to be a Carroll, a relative of Pete Carroll, a Harbaugh, and a Belichick all coaching in Seattle this upcoming year, which is a little interesting, just considering the legendary coaching tenures those families have. But that's a report that hasn't been finalized as of yet. I could say that, and then it could be happening right now. Nope, not yet. So we'll get to that, but when that happens. But obviously, MacDonald's the big move. Leslie Frazier is going to be a big add as well in his defensive mind. So having the defensive minds of MacDonald and Frazier should turn things around. And again, just talked about it a bunch. The pieces on the defensive side of the ball and what they're going to be able to do, maybe in free agency and through the draft as well. So that's exciting. Again, you've got to feel good if you're a Seahawks fan, at least at this current point in time. The offseason only means so much. When you get to the reality of things in the regular season and hopefully postseason, then you start to see how much these coaches are bringing and the medal and so much and so forth. But it's an exciting time right now, at least, to be a Seahawks fan and have something to look forward to, and the potential of what this defense will look like going forward. So it'll be very interesting to see if Seattle makes any sort of coordinator hires by the time that we get to things next week, next Monday, which would be the 12th, I believe, if I can count. Yes, it would be the 12th. There have been a few interviews taking place for the offensive coordinator position for the Seahawks. One of them being there's rumored interest in former University of Washington offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, who went to join Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. He could be headed back to Seattle. That is a rumor that there was interest there. We'll see if that has any substance by the time we see you next week. So